magic mojo decomposes?
Yeah, magic mojo is the idea that your soil food web is sort of like the bottom of the ocean. You guys realize that there's no producers underground? It's all a whole bunch of heterotrophs, things eating each other and breaking down stuff and chasing each other around. Without, we have no life on Earth. All the processes that work from the dirt uphill, so to speak, production, making plants, things that eat plants, things that eat those things, that's just half the picture. The other half of the picture is the magic mojo.
Well, that's what makes it a cycle, otherwise it would just be a straight line.
That's right. That's what makes it a cycle instead of a straight line. It's what closes the loop. It's the other half of the picture. Above ground, it's all production and things eating things, but then we got to get back to making more production somehow. That's the magic mojo. Number 18, 1 star. These go on the right side of number 33. And while we're at it, I think for number 18, you must have written in your notes somewhere that erosion does not equal desertification. They are separate problems, and they have separate solutions. Desertification is when your soil has lost its mojo. I love how scientifical and unscientifical my science class is. Okay. 19 gets 2 stars. This goes mostly on the left side of number 33. Number 20 gets 2 stars, and that is the right side, the opposite of 19. Okay, number 33. 21 goes with 12 and 63. Gets 2 stars. Don't forget, overgrazing is about roots, not about the grass. 24 gets 2 stars, goes with 33, and let me say it again, erosion does not equal desertification. 25 gets 2 stars, and I introduced vocab when we talked about 25. I introduced patchiness and thinning. 27 gets 1. 29 gets 1. In number 30, indirect deforestation gets a star. And did we talk about the one example in the American West? No. About indirect deforestation?
No.
There's these beetles.
Oh, the ones in Mammoth?
Mammoth, Colorado, Wyoming, Idaho. Yeah. It's acidification of rain is one problem. But the climate change and the beetles, we live like right on the edge of the biggest chunk of indirect deforestation for the next decade. Pretty much any place you've got pine trees in the western half of the U.S., We expect to see 20, 30, 40%, in a few places over 50% pine tree reductions in the next 10, 20 years. Remember, the issue with the beetles is that a little bit of warming makes summer a little bit longer, but when you postpone the first frost, the beetle populations are on the steep part of the J curve, so a few more days of breeding will double their populations, and that does a lot for the transmission of disease. Number 31, conservation corridors will come up again. And number 2, it is twofold. When you set up a wilderness area that's surrounded by cities and freeways and farms and factories and hunting activities, that's the exact same as taking the wildlife and putting them in a zoo. You're saying, here's a really nice park, now just stay right there. But most large animals do not just stay right there. They migrate in response to climate changes, they migrate seasonally for breeding or for feeding. By the way, it also isolates them from others of their species. So they don't get to interbreed, and there's dramatic loss of their genetic diversity. The point of conservation corridors is to connect those populations so you get more genetic diversity and more migratory potential. When we started designing our wilderness system, we thought, like, here's a really nice place, we'll just not kill stuff there, and then we'll just surround it with a bunch of stuff that'll kill the animals. But at least they got that little island. And so what you've effectively done is taken a continuous species and broken them up into little populations with no interchange, no good. Alright. Oh, I've got it. Do you guys know how, like, Appalachia during, like, the early 1800s, late 1700s, maybe late 1800s, had a lot of isolated small communities because of logistical issues? There was very little migration between the communities. Anybody know what happened to those small isolated communities in Appalachia? People, humans. Little rural communities. They got genetically messed up because of inbreeding. Same thing happens with wildlife. Like Appalachia, when you get inbreeding, you get... Yeah, these are like real ecological islands. Like, how does it happen? You can't. In a real... That's the problem. You do not want to have divergent evolution in a continuous species. But when you only protect two spots with no interchange, that's what you're going to get. You've made ecological islands. Alright, and don't forget that in number 32, we added a new term. Ecosystem services. The idea that nature does stuff for free that we could not afford to do in its place. Obviously, number 33 is like as many stars as you feel like writing down. It is the one thing that holds together the whole unit. I'll bet you that if you put all your relevant notes into number 33, that would answer half the points on the exam. $34 gets 1 star. Green Revolution stuff. But there were 2 vocabulary terms that you should have. Please look up. Resurgence and pesticide treadmill. Does anybody know why you're supposed to make sure you take all the antibiotics, not just a few of them? Like when you're taking a 7-day course, why you have to take all 7 days?
Well, they all work together, kind of. If you don't take one, they don't back up.
Yes, but how does it mess up the process? You're right.
The bacteria might get used to
Is there another way to say this? You're right.
You don't take full course, you just design to kill like 100% of the bacteria, then inevitably some small percentage will survive, and those small percentage that survive will be the strongest and most able to resist the
Evolution.
and then eventually after,
What do we call this?
That will be immune to the drugs.
Right. It's kind of survival of the fittest. The fittest bacteria survive in your body the longest. By not killing them, you have selected artificially for stronger bacteria in your system. You got to take the whole course of antibiotics, because if you don't, you're going to just leave the ones that are really successful to repopulate your body and make you very sick. Has anybody ever had like a double cold, like you think you're getting better and all of a sudden you get the second round of the same cold? How many of you have had this experience? Show me with your fingers. Which one was worse? The first round of the cold or the second round of the same cold? You'll notice that everybody else is saying the second round too. The reason is the same. Your body was like, okay, we got this cold licked. And the cold goes, psych, we're back, and we're stronger. We call this resurgence. Pests do the same thing. You use pesticides, you kill off 99.9%, the remaining 0.1% are the strongest, so of course they'll come back. And what did that force you to do?
Increase the dose of pesticide.
Right, use either more pesticide or stronger pesticide. But of course, pesticide is not 100% effective. So next week, what happens?
That 1%.
That 1% comes back, so now you need again more and stronger. And so you end up doing a lot of work to stay in the same place. The pesticide treadmill.
Positive feedback.
It is positive feedback. And BT does. It's known as the pesticide treadmill. Because all that pesticide doesn't actually solve the bug problem. You just have to keep going, and they keep coming, and then you keep going, and then they keep coming.
Is that actually a scientific term?
I don't think that it's a scientific term, but in agriculture, it's very well known. In number 36, why were they building low rock dams?
Capture water runoff.
To capture water runoff. I want you to remember this principle. The best place to store water is always underground. No evaporation, no flooding. Already available where the plants need it. Yeah, that's right. It also has ecological benefit. Number 37 was probably understated by the film. They said more than 1/4 of seafood is farmed. Today we're flirting with 50%. Almost at 50%. You'd be fine. Number 38 gets 1 star. The problems with salmon farms are really, they're a very hot topic. Number 39 gets 1 star. You might remember that monoculture is bad on a farm because you use up all of one thing and it's an easy target for the bugs and it puts all your eggs in one basket. In aquaculture, the same is true. Were you going to prove it? Yeah, fun. In aquaculture, the same is true. China does this thing called carp polyculture, which is having a diversity of carp species, because in your pond you have a diversity of foods, so why not use all of them? In a pond you've got algae, so sure, vegetarian fish sounds good, but you've also got some bugs on the top, why not make those into fish also, put some carnivorous fish in there? And now you're vegetarian plus carnivorous.